This is the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast, our weekly look at the area athletic scene, what happened last week, and what's going on this week. I'm here with my partner, Dan Youngblood, via Zoom. And Dan, tonight we've got a special guest, Haskell girls track coach, Missy Burson.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun podcast. Haskell obviously had a monstrous day at the Region 2-2A track meet, winning that one, sweeping all three relays. So it's going to be fun talking to her just about the success they had down there. I think first region championship for Coach Berson and for her program. So a really big accomplishment. They're going to be sending a really nice contingent down to Austin for the state track meet. So we'll have plenty to talk about, and it's going to be a good conversation, I think.
All right. And before we jump into this week's show, we need to thank our primary sponsor, Capital Farm Credit, with offices all over Texas, including Stanford and Abilene. Buy your own slice of Texas with Capital Farm Credit. Together, we're better. And with that, Dan, we're coming off a weekend filled with track and field regional action, as our sunburns illustrate. I went out there and hurt myself. I went out there and hurt myself on Friday. You went out there and hurt yourself on Saturday and got lobstered. But it was worth it. We saw a lot of very track action.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was a Region 3, 1-3A. We had a lot of really good performances out there with the Brock boys and girls also claiming their first region championships in program history, and then a bunch of really strong individual performances really all throughout the area. And that was kind of the case across all the classifications. You look, we had an Abilene High girl advanced, Preceding Bingo advanced in the triple jump. You had Kyler Aguilar from Wiley in the pole vault in the Class 5A in the regional. And then from there on down, we're going to have a really strong group of kids down in Austin and across all the classifications, more than 125 entries. And that was before you even take into account the wild cards. So a really strong weekend of track for the big country, and kind of what you've come to expect. And really, I'm just glad we've gotten to this point after losing the track season last year.
And with that, Dan, before we jump into track and field and eventually talk to Missy Burson of Haskell, you and I both were talking about getting MLB The Show, the video game, which is now on Xbox. I was the first to make the move, and I've got to say, so far, the only thing that game has proven to me so far is how old I'm getting. I'm either getting too old for this stuff, or that game is so jacked up that it's almost impossible to play at the highest level. I mean, I'm no schlub at this. You and I have played these other baseball games. I've mastered every single one of them. You and I played head-to-head, and we split a 2-game series. I'd have beat you twice if it hadn't been for my fat third baseman taking a pop-up off the head. But we won't talk about that. But anyway, I'm no schlub at these games. And, I mean, I played like 4 times on legend level, which I should have done.
Yeah.
But I've been no-no'd twice, and I K'd 22 times in my first game. Yeah. I would have better luck taking a real bat and hitting against real major league pitching. That's how I feel so far.
No, I'm just excited that game's out for Xbox. We've been talking about not having a really good baseball game to play for a long time now, and so I'm excited. You got it first. I do plan on getting it and messing around with it, playing with some with my son. I will not start on legend level. I don't really see any need to go get K'd 22 times and no hit, but I'm glad that you're learning against the best.
I'll have to put it on junior schlub level, I guess, and work my way up from that point forward. But let's get off this subject before I get a headache. Let's go into some track and field. You and I both attended the regional track meet at Abilene Christian University over the weekend. There were several regional meets going on. That's the one we went to, as our sunburns can attest to. We saw a lot of great action, a lot of people going to state. Overall, throughout all of our regions, it's normal for the big country to send a bunch of kids to regional or to the state meet. This year is exceptional. We've got more than 120 going down to Austin.
Yeah, I actually sat down and put together a little list here, to just the number of automatic qualifiers. So this is strictly kids that won silver and bronze, or won gold and silver rather. And we had 1 in 6A, 1 in 5A, 8 in 4A, 30 in 3A, 34 in 2A, and 51 in Class 1A. So combine that, you have 125 entries, and that's not including wild cards. That's just kids who qualified with the automatic qualification. So, like you said, a huge contingent of big country and big country preps coverage area kids at Austin, which is really cool. It's going to be fun seeing a lot of these kids get that opportunity after not being able to do it last year with COVID and everything. And I think for us, it's been fun because we were planning on adding track last year before everything got shut down, and we didn't really get to cover much of it last year because of the timing of everything. So it's nice to be really been able to dive into that this year, get to learn these names, get to see these kids live in the case of the 1-3A meet with you and I. And it was really fun. I had fun getting out to that first track meet. It was the first one I've covered in a while, and I did forget to wear sunscreen, so I came back lobstered, and spending that much time in the sun, you always come back with a little bit of a headache. But it was fun getting to feel that atmosphere again, because track I would probably not put as my favorite sport to cover, but I really do enjoy getting out there and getting to see the kids compete. I really do enjoy the atmosphere. Track has such a unique atmosphere because you have so many fans from so many different places and so many kids from different schools competing at the same time, that the excitement level for every one of these races is really high. And I think that part's really fun. And that was fun getting out there to that regional meet and getting to see some of that again.
Talking about some of the kids that we think have, very good chances of bringing home a gold medal to the big country. Let's start in Class 5A. One that I like, and I think you would agree with this, in Class 5A, Kyler Aguilar from Wiley, I think has an excellent shot at bringing home the gold.
Yeah, and Kyler's a neat story because he was a state qualifier as a freshman at the Class 4A level and finished as the runner-up as a freshman in the pole vault. And then the last 2 years got a little bit sidetracked, the sophomore year by injury and then junior year by COVID. And then he gets to come back this year and really finish in style. He had a monstrous performance at the Region 1-5A meet, vaulting 16 feet 3 inches to not only shatter the school record, which was previously 16.2. It also shattered the Region 1-5A record, which was previously 16.1. So you're talking about a kid who's already setting records. He's gonna be vaulting at Harding University in Arkansas after this year. Just a really, really good pole vaulter who I think you're right has a chance to go down there and and really finish his career in style, which would be kind of neat because we kind of bookend it with the runner-up finish in 4A. If he could medal in 5A, it'd be a pretty cool story.
All right. Among the 3A athletes that we saw at Abilene Christian University over the weekend that have a very good chance of medaling in Austin. A couple of them that come to mind for me: Peyton Phillips of Clyde, regional champion in the long jump, regional champion in the 100 hurdles, and broke pretty old school records in doing both and winning these regional titles. But she's only a sophomore. And for a sophomore to show the amount of intensity that she shows while she's competing is really something that's uncommon. You can tell already that she's going to be something very special by the time that she's a senior. She comes to mind. Tate Williams from Wall is another one. Swept the discus, swept the shot put, has a chance of bringing home gold in both. Not the favorite in the shot put in Austin. There's a kid from San Antonio throwing about 60 feet. But Williams is right up there, 58 and a half-ish. So he's got a shot at gold as well in both of those events, discus and shot.
Yeah, those two made a big impression on me as well. It's funny with Peyton Phillips, you mentioned to when you go out to these high level track meets, you get to area, region, and state. There are just those kids that look like track athletes. I think Peyton Phillips is one of those that just looks like a high level track athlete. She just really looks the part. And once she gets going, I saw the hurdles. You were there for the field event. And once she gets on the track, she just looks like one of those girls that's kind of built different. And she had a really good run in the 100 hurdles. It was fun to watch. And then you mentioned Tate Williams, who's had a fantastic track season. And really, I talked to him after the meet the other day where he set school records with gold medals in both the shot put and the discus. And he said that's the reason he came back. He said if not for maybe COVID shutting down the state track meet last year, if he had made state track meet last year, he may be in Waco right now, enrolling early at Baylor and playing football, which is what he's going to be doing in the future. But he just wanted that opportunity to go compete at state because he has not had that yet in his career. And that's really cool. It's cool to see a kid that really prioritizes that. This is a guy that has a D1 future in football. And this means that much to him to want to go back and throw, because that's kind of what his dad did, and it's kind of a neat story there. And one thing about him that I just want to mention just off the bat is that he's a guy that's not only a great athlete, he's a really, really good kid, a very humble guy for as talented as he is and for the success that he's had. I really enjoyed talking with him and wishing him luck. And then a couple others that made impressions on me from the 1-3A meet. Tori Tyler from Brock, who we've done stories about. She she decided to forego her senior basketball season to focus entirely on track, and then she goes and she's qualifies both in the 200 and the 400 individually, and then with the relays as well, and helps Brock to their first region championship. She was another one that had a great meet. And then Weston Rolwitz from Ballinger, a guy who will be making his first state appearance. He had a couple of good runs in the hurdles, helped their mile relay team to a gold medal. So a lot of kids just had a really big day a really big weekend out there on the track at the 1-3A meet in ACU, and it was fun to watch. A lot of these kids, like I said, we had 30 3A kids or entries advancing to state, which that's pretty cool. I mean, usually that number isn't quite that high at that classification.
All right, yeah, and also the Class 3A level, maybe nobody was more impressive than the Brock girls relay team. So you got to see on the day of the finals. I got to see the prelims, but on the day of the finals, they were just absolutely dominant. And they looked, I mean, at least on paper to me, they looked like gold medal material.
Yeah, the Brock relays were really impressive, particularly those anchor legs, where in both cases they came and were able to come from behind for victories. But I really like the lineups from 1 through 4 in both cases. I think they're both their 800 relay and their 1600 relay are really strong, and they were really strong throughout. So it's going to be fun to see what they can do at Austin, and see if they can and then match that level of success. Because if they do, that puts them, kind of in a chance to maybe going to make some noise in the team race as well. So that part's going to be interesting to see if the Brock boys and girls who both won their first region championships can kind of contend in those relays and give themselves a shot in the team race at Austin.
Okay. All right, Dan, in Class 1A, one kid that, as you know, we have to mention is Avery Williford of Brooksmith, who is going to state in 4 events. He's going with the 400 relay and the 800 relay, events that Brooksmith swept in their regional. He's also going in the 200 meters, which he won gold in at 23:36, and he's going in the triple jump, which he finished second in at 40 feet, 8.5 inches. This kid's a great athlete. He could, he could bring home a lot of hardware.
Yeah, it's always fun to get those kids that are going in 3, 4, 5 events sometimes, especially, and that's something that you typically will only see at the 1A level. You don't see that much in the higher levels, but it's really neat when you get a kid who can go out there and score, a pretty good team total by themselves. And I think he's definitely one of those guys that has an opportunity. And on the girls' side, one that is definitely a one to watch is Carly Willison of Monday, who's going in 3 events. She was able to advance in both the 800, the 1600, and the 3200. So any race of any distance at all, Willison had a lot of region success in, and she's going to get to compete in state as well. So it's always fun at the 1A level when you get those kids who are going down there in multiple events and have an opportunity to really kind of become storylines at the track meet. You see that happen almost every year.
All right, Dan, one more name that we need to throw out is Roby's Case Covington, a regional champion in the 100 meters. He's going to Austin in 3 different events. He won the 100 meters at 10.93. He won the 200 meters at 22.82. He won the long jump at 21 feet, 11.5 inches. 3 regional championships, going to state and challenging for all 3. Another kid that could bring home, he could get on the medal stand 3 times. It's possible.
Yeah, he accounted for 3 of the 51 entries that we got from 1As throughout the area. So we're going to have a really busy state meet at the 1A level, and really every level up to 3A. We got at least 30 entries in every level, 1A through 3A. So a lot of kids that we're not going to get to mention today that
there's just too many.
Yeah, there's just too many, but you can find those in our regional recaps, and we'll be doing some preview stuff of state as well. So make sure you check that stuff all out, because we're definitely going to be getting these kids covered as we lead up to state, and we'll definitely be covering them once they're running in Austin as well. So a lot of kids, and this is just a fun time of year, especially given the fact that with what happened last year. I mean, it's not often where an entire class loses an opportunity to compete at state, and that was what happened last year, obviously, with the COVID shutdown. And now I know there's a whole lot of kids who are really eager to get out there and kind of prove what they can do, particularly those who thought they had an opportunity to really do something last year. So those are neat stories, and there's just going to be a ton of really cool stories, I think, that emerge from this state meet, and a lot of really great kids going down there. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, we're always well represented in Class 1A at state. That's typical. But we had 1A teams spread out through 3 regions, and we're sending kids to state through 3 regions. Region 1, Region 2, and Region 3 will have representation from our area. The Big Country is so well represented, it's ridiculous.
And that's what's neat too, is with us adding San Saba to our coverage area, We did the same thing in 2A as well. We have region 1, 2, and 4 represented there. So we had some Coleman kids had a big meet in the region 1 meet. And then in region 4, you had both Goldthwaite and San Saba kids earn state opportunities. So, and then region 2 is kind of where most of our 2As are. But it's really, you're right. I mean, our area is so big that it's very well represented and really spans almost the entire state.
And with that, it's just about time to bring on Haskell girls track coach Missy Burson. But before we do that, we need to thank our sponsors. First and foremost, Capital Farm Credit, which brings you these Wednesday night podcasts free of charge throughout the school year. Also, for the Love of the Game Broadcasting, and our old friend Terry Slavens, owner of K-Lakes 93.5 FM out of Breckenridge, KATX 97.7 FM out of Eastland, Classic Country AM 1330 out of Graham, KWKQ 94.7 FM out of Graham, KROO 1430 AM out of Breck, and KWBY 98.5 FM out of Ranger. That is for the Love of the Game Broadcasting. Also, Phil Hill of the Abilene Realtors Group, big supporter of local athletics. If you're in the market, give him a shout at 325-669-5153 or visit his website at philhillproperties.com. And finally, Jack's Road Boring in Snyder, dirt sales and services with experience and service you can count on. Larry Green is the man to call out there. Give him a shout at 325-575-8004. That's Jack's Road Boring in Snyder. And with that, Mr. Youngblood, it's just about time to bring on Coach Missy Burson. And you got to be happy for her and for Haskell because technically they were probably on their way. They were Austin bound more than likely in these relay events last year. Before COVID just robbed everybody, man. It just locked it up. There were a lot of heartbreaking stories around the area and around the state, and Haskell was one of them.
Yeah. And that was one of my favorite stories of this year's region were those teams that felt like they had an opportunity to do that last year and actually were able to make good on it this year. Haskell was one of those, doing it with some young girls. They had some freshmen running for them. And another was that Ballinger mile relay team that won at the Region 1-3. They were the same way, where last year they felt they had a really good opportunity to make it to state last year, had that taken away from them. So you could just see the excitement, and it was really cool. There's just a ton of when they won that race, it was just you could tell just a release of excitement, and it was pretty awesome.
All right, it's just about time to say hello to the coach. Y'all set?
Yeah, let's get her on.
And joining us now via Zoom, Haskell girls track coach Missy Burson. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
Sure.
Coach, right off the bat, you guys have become a regional power in recent years. Girls track is becoming big in Haskell. What do you attribute that to?
Really, I attribute to the girls just finally bought into the program, and they have. I've seen these girls their whole lives. I've had them, and the consistency, I think, through the years is a big plus for them. And they work hard, and it's paid off.
And Coach, when you look at the Haskell girls athletic program in general, y'all have had a lot of success across really all of the sports over the years. But it does seem that there is a passion for track out there. I guess, can you just talk a little bit about kind of that, just building passion around that sport?
Well, it's never usually anybody's. If you ask the kids, what's your favorite sport, track doesn't usually rank at the top. Now, if you can convince them, which is what I kind of call the buy-in, if you can get them to buy in that it's going to help their so-called favorite sports, then somewhere along the way, then track becomes extremely passionate for them too, and kind of they won't always admit it, but they love it. There's nothing like winning on the track field or running in Austin. There's nothing like it. So I just think consistency and getting them to buy in is how we've become successful.
All right, Coach, we did a story last summer about losing your season to COVID. Let's revisit that and talk about how emotional things got for you, because your teams were looking really good, and there's no telling how far you would have went last year, perhaps to state again.
Yes, the season that wasn't, yeah. Yes, it was extremely. I had a very, very strong team with 2 seniors on that team. And so losing that season was heartbreaking for the younger kids and for the, my seniors. So being able to come full circle this year is really nice. And like at every track meet and after we won the region meet, my 2 seniors that graduated, one is running at West Texas, text me and said, how happy they were for our team and me, and they're still very supportive.
One of the things that I found kind of neat in talking to kids that have had success this year at the regionals and have advanced the state was that a lot of them kind of made it a point to kind of, they wanted to prove that they had been working through that time, and they were really eager to get back onto the track. How much of that did you see of kids just really working hard through the time on their own so that they could be ready to perform this year?
I saw kids extremely eager to be back, back out there. They tried to stay, in shape through the whole COVID thing, but it's just not the same. If you're not competing and you're not being held accountable by others, then it's hard. So I think they were ready to get back into that competitive spirit again and have risen to the challenge.
All right, Coach, tell us about sweeping the relays in Springtown and winning a regional team title and how satisfying that was for you and your athletes.
It is sweet. It's amazing. I've never won the regional meet, so this was a huge cherry on top. I've won district, I've won area, but I've never taken regionals. And so the sweeping of the relays is, there's just no better feeling. I tell them my sprint relay, our motto every week is who sets the tone, and they all turn around and holler, "We do." And I said, "Yep." So take the first one, and then I said, "We got 2 more to go." After the 800 relay, they're like, I can hear the girls saying, "We got 1 down. One to go." And I'm like, "Yep, that's right." So, it's amazing. It's great.
And I know that out in Haskell, it's always good to beat a rival in Stamford as well. I guess finishing ahead of them. What did that mean to you to be able to beat them for that region title?
Well, yeah, no, I love it. I love it. And, it's a great rivalry. And I will say this, the Stamford coach comes by and wishes us luck, and, and I wish them luck. Of course, I don't want them to beat us, and they certainly don't want us to beat them, but it's always a good day in Haskell if you've beaten Stamford.
And you don't do what y'all have accomplished without just an enormous amount of work. And you talked about it that sometimes it's begrudging work. That the track is one of those sports, kind of like powerlifting, where it's hard work to get where you want to be. Just what have you seen from your team in terms of getting to this point and the work that they've put in to do it?
Well, we work hard. We get up, we run in the dark because our track doesn't have lights. So when we start down there at 6:45 in the morning, it's still dark. So we run early, and then we squeeze in during the period as much more as we can get. And then after school, before I have to ship them off to the ones that share softball, then we run in and get handoffs, field events, all of that. So it's a grueling schedule. I always tell them, hey, the season's pretty short in comparison to basketball. So you have that to, a consolation for them that they're not going to be doing this forever. And they put in the work, but it's grueling.
Coach, you're heading to Austin, going to the state track meet. Tell us about the excitement amongst your athletes on campus and around the community, please.
Well, on campus, it's great. We even canceled school, which that doesn't happen a lot. Canceled school next Friday because we had so many teachers and, of course, students that are wanting to go. So that's amazing. And the girls are so excited. I did a poll yesterday on who had been that I'm taking 9, and 1 has run there. 2 have been alternates there, and the rest have never even seen it. So it's I would say probably a combination of total excitement and a little bit of terror.
And that kind of leads me into my next question. And you've kind of touched on this, that it really, there are a few athletic events in Texas high school sports that have been really that kind of atmosphere. That's really a unique atmosphere at that state track meet. There is a lot of excitement surrounding it. How much do you worry, particularly when you're taking 3 relay teams down there, maybe the adrenaline getting the better of them or those sorts of things? How do you kind of temper that and just kind of get them to go down there and relax and do what they do?
We always go the day, I take them to the session the night before so we can get all of that just out of the way, all the oohs, and that gets taken care of the day before. And then it's just, I just totally stress, it's, you came to do a job, do your job. You've run that same, your job has been the same all season. It doesn't change just because you're there. So I just need you to go do your job. Then we can hopefully stand on the stand and reap the benefits.
Coach, do you like your chances down there? Or how do you assess your medal chances?
I'm liking my chances. Of course, it's Austin. Anything happens. I've seen people go in, sit in 5th, and then all of a sudden here they come and you're like, where did that come from? But right now, I'm really liking my chances. If everybody, it comes down to the start, the handoffs, and the finish. Everything else should take care of itself.
So, I mean, you kind of answer this one, but what do you see as being those keys, the biggest keys to having success down there?
I think they're well trained enough that everything will take care of itself as long as they can keep their nerves in check. They're freshmen. I've got juniors and freshmen. So, freshmen. So I'm going to try to get them just to view that track as if it was Hamlin's track. We're just at, the Pied Piper relays, just run it like that. So instead of don't look up.
Well, Coach, let me ask you this. Do you have to medal to be satisfied with this trip, or is there a scenario where if you do not medal, you guys are going to get back on the bus smiling and happy with the whole thing?
Oh, no, I'm happy right now. Is if that's what somebody said, you remember that year you took that relay and they got next to last? And I said, no, they got 7th out of the state of Texas.
There you go.
Do you know how many people didn't get to do anything? It's not next to last. That was 7th. They were the 7th best that day in the state of Texas. So I will look at it that way. If you're on the stand, that is, icing on the cake. But if not, successful season.
And this is really a unique opportunity. You talked about how few of your girls have even been down there, much less competed there. So a really unique opportunity, particularly coming off the COVID shutdown last year. Is there any opportunity while you're there to kind of soak up the experience of being at the state capitol and all of that kind of stuff, or is it just strictly a business trip?
It's pretty business. We'll come, we'll chill a little bit. We chill out on the way down. We'll stop. We always stop at Prima Pasta in Brownwood, eat, get our carved up, and then stop, stretch our legs, run somewhere, and then we'll go try to get all the nerves out. But then from then on, and then hopefully it's a celebration on Saturday at lunch for a big meal on the school.
Coach, you talked about having freshmen and juniors on your team, and a lot of these girls have never been to Mike Meyer Stadium in Austin, which is kind of a scary place. It's a big stadium for track. Are you tempted to maybe do the Hoosiers thing and take them out there early and measure the track out in front of them?
If they would let me on there, yes, I would. They have that thing locked down.
Well, Well, Coach, best of luck to you at the state track meet. We'll be keeping a close eye on you down there. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much.
And that was Haskell girls track and field coach Missy Burson. I'm kind of excited for the Maidens. They could have gone to state last year. In a number of their relays, they were good enough, and COVID wiped the whole thing out. They had to wait for an entire year to prove themselves again, and they've achieved it. You got to be happy for them.
Yeah, it's kind of a neat deal because I mean they had a chance last year, I think, maybe to get that first region championship under their belt, and obviously had that wiped out with COVID. And then this year, I mean, they have another really good group that's a little bit younger, and they've managed to go ahead and accomplish it. And I know that means a lot, not only to the girls that accomplished it this year, but also those girls that weren't able to be a part of it last year. So it was nice for them to kind of include them in that group because they definitely played a role in getting this Haskell program to where it is. So I agree. Really neat story with Haskell at the regional meet. I'm excited to see what they can do at state. And you can tell just talking to Coach Berson that she's excited too. And that's always fun. It's always fun when you get to see the coach's excitement and just kind of see the eagerness that they have to go down there and watch their kids compete.
They execute those handoffs, they've got a shot at it. Just execute your handoffs, you got a shot.
That's the one thing that worries you. You never want to hear that, where the collective gasp where somebody falls or the drop of a handoff.
No.
That's one of those things at the state track meet, immediately what happened without even watching the race.
Yes.
And you never want to see that. And hopefully if Haskell can, like you said, execute those handoffs, do what they've done all year long, that it'll work out well for them.
Absolutely. And with that, it's about time to wrap up the Capital Farm Credit Wednesday night podcast. But before we do that, we want to remind you that we've got 3 separate subscription packages here at bigcountrypreps.com. We've got a monthly for $5 a month. We got a semi-annual 6-month subscription where we knock that price down to $4 a month. And then we have an annual, a yearly subscription where we knock that price down to $3 a month. 12 months, $36 for a full year of Big Country High School athletic coverage.
And we'd also like to remind you that if you ever see a photo you like in any one of our galleries, it is available for just $7. You can click on that small shopping cart icon to the bottom right, follow that prompt, and purchase as many of those as you would like. But if you scroll through the site, you'll notice that we take a lot of photos from these events we're at. It's something we enjoy doing, and it's something we're very proud of here at bigcountrypreps.com.
All Big Country, all high school, all the time. Welcome home.